welcome to Uber Eats Raptors Game Day on TSN, and welcome everyone to a little bit of history tonight. My name is Kate Burnett. This is Amy Audibert. We've got
our first guest became part of history on March 24th. Amy Audibert of Niagara Falls was part of the first all-female broadcast crew as the Raptors hosted the Denver Nuggets. The Raptors came out victorious, but it wasn't just a win for the Raptors. It was a win for women around the world. Amy, I have to ask you, I think it was an important victory for women around the world. How important do you think it was in the scheme of things for equality?
Yeah, I'd like to believe it was too, but unlike most of the sports we cover, this isn't something you can measure on a box score, right? This is going to be very intangible, but what I keep saying is I'm hoping a couple years down the road, maybe it's 5, maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe a rising star comes up to me and says, hey, we watched you guys do the Raptors games, and it led me to believe that I can do that too. And that's going to be, I think, the biggest moment. But we know we reached some audience out there, and that was important.
It certainly got a lot of attention before the game, during the game, and after the game, and not just here locally because you're from Niagara Falls, but nationally and internationally as well.
We've known for about a month we were going to do this, so definitely a lot of anticipating from the people that were working on this event and project. But in terms of Wednesday, when the game took place, it was a very fast day. And probably we went rolling at, I think, around 6. Phone went away because it was definitely crazy. Twitter was going nuts, and so we appreciated the attention. At the same time, we had a job to do, which was presenting an NBA basketball game. But you said it wasn't just to a country. It was to pretty much North America and probably some places all across the world. It was very important.
And it wasn't just the people on screen. It was the crew as well. You had some fellow Niagara College graduates on the crew working behind the scenes.
My experience at Niagara College was the foundation to my career in the broadcasting industry. And so when we run into each other, not just those two women, but a lot of Niagara grads in the industry, it's always a little bit extra special. But I do a lot of work with Kiana, which was one of the women, and she is so talented at what she does production-wise. And whenever Kiana's working a game that Amy's working, Amy knows that she's going to look a little bit better. So I was so appreciative, not just obviously in front of the camera, but to have some, it wasn't fully women behind the camera, which is the goal, doing this for future broadcasts, but it was nice to see them for sure.
When you put this, talking about the scheme of things, when you put this in beside the other broadcasting jobs that you've done, and I know you've done a lot of work down in the United States, why is this one so special?
This was history. I mean, it is what it is. It was the first time it's ever happened. And working with the women, right, the 5 of us, I've watched all those women, whether it be on the court or at home with the rest of the country, sharing the Toronto Raptors for the most part. And so sitting in the studio, especially with Kate Burnett and Kaylee Gray, of course, I'm not going to say that it was just another day at the job. It wasn't. It was special, sitting in the TSN studio and understanding that, yes, it's history, but also growing up, or at least my time in the industry, I wanted to work in the NBA. I wanted to call NBA games. And so getting to do that both on the radio and on that special historic game it's been a great couple weeks.
There have been strides made in the industry, and you mentioned doing NBA games. There are a lot of females doing those games now. Not so many doing play-by-play in color, but quite a few on the floor. We've seen that in NFL games as well. We've seen NFL games being called by 2 female broadcasters. When do you think it will stop being a novelty?
That's a tough question to answer because nobody really knows. I think in Canadian media, that was a big step forward, right? To have women in play-by-play and in analyst roles. I think you're starting, because the women that consistently hold those jobs right now, and we're talking about obviously Doris Burke and Sarah Kustok with the Brooklyn Nets and Katie Winges with the Denver Nuggets, because they do such a good job, Amy gets to be a studio analyst. And so then it's important for Amy to do a very good job so that the next one can come too. Are we going to wake up and see all women's broadcasts all the time? I'm not sure. I mean, it would be nice that we're not measuring it as to an all women or an all men's. It's just really qualified people who are able to do that job.
You mentioned Niagara College and how special that was for you. How much did that experience prepare you for what you do now? And experience right here in the YourTV studios as well, because you did a lot of work for us.
Yeah, like it is the foundation. I mean, the college, why I think it was the most important, it was the reps, just getting there and understanding how to present and where I maybe are my strengths in it, where are my weaknesses in it, and then my experience here, of course, with YourTV and the wonderful team here who I get to see now when I come sit here with you. It's been fantastic, and I always appreciate working with Jack and Mark Bennett and Daryl and the whole team here, because they took the time to really help, right? Help me build, help me write, help me present on camera. And in this type of skill set, I don't know if you can figure out how to do it by reading a book. You've got to get out and do it. And it's a challenge in Canada, right? We just don't have that many opportunities in front of a camera to develop. And so I always appreciate the patience and guidance and leadership that was presented here for me at YourTV.
When you were at the University of Miami, was broadcasting at the back of your mind? Because at that time you were you were studying sports administration, were you not?
Yeah, I was. It's funny because I always say, man, if I had decided I was going to start studying this when I was playing in college, I wonder if I would have been able to kind of advance a little bit quicker, but I didn't. It wasn't until I got home. I loved the idea of talking about sports when I was in college. I didn't know where to start or how to start it. And I really didn't embrace that until I was a junior or senior. And I figured I love studying athletics, so I wasn't going to move. But one of my first aha women was Debbie Antonelli, and she is still one of the best college basketball analysts. She used to call my games. And so when she started coming in and calling the Miami games, I would always get excited. She'd be in shoot around. I'd listen to the games after. So it was always kind of there. But it wasn't until I got home to Niagara where I really pursued the passion.
When you look at growing up here and being a star at A.N. Meyer, all the attention you got back then, how does that relate to what kind of attention you're getting now?
It's funny because yes, I definitely I appreciated that, and I appreciated all the friends and great teammates I had in in high school. But when I got to college, I did not get the attention. I was never the big scorer or rebounder. I did a lot of dirty work. I'd say that is more relevant to what I'm doing now because I don't have a big name as a player. So the fact that I get to sit in an analyst chair and call professional basketball in Canada at some of the highest stages means I've had to do quite a bit of the dirty work and behind the scenes, and I always go back to that time. There's something about working on a team, being a part of something that's bigger than yourself, which is what I do when I get the opportunity. I'm sharing stories, I'm telling stories. It's not about Amy, it's about the team, it's about the show, and it's about the audience at home.
What do you say to young people, young women especially, who would like to follow in your path?
Yeah, I always just say buckle up. I mean, it's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in this industry, and I think you have to be willing to move weird places or to take weird jobs. My first sideline hit was college lacrosse. I had never watched a lacrosse game in my life, but of course my answer was yes. I had about a week, and I watched a lot of lacrosse in a week, and I was on the phone calling people who were familiar with the sport. It's now one of my favorite sports, I think, because when you dig into it, you have a different respect for it. But I'd say just be open. I mean, it's okay to kind of have your goals, but be willing to change your path or way to get there.
Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on all of your success, and we hope to see more of you on those Raptors broadcasts.
Thank you so much for the chat.